Hey guys, I learned by past mistakes that when I'm doing an interview with one of the chat bots, that I need to wait until I get the explanation at the beginning of the interview done before I even turn them on. So this time I think I'm going to use Copilot, and we're going to interview Copilot about the life of Joan of Arc, which I think will be interesting. I have a big interest in history of all kinds. Oh, and the fact that there was a child, a 13 or 14 inch 13 or 14-year-old child, or whatever she was, leading France at a certain point in time, I find interesting, and I will try to also ask Copilot at some point, after we get through the interview, pretty much, maybe, what other child leaders have evolved over the centuries. So, yeah, should be a fun interview. I might do one about Zen here in a few days because I want to learn more. I want to be reminded of what I used to know about the history of Zen Buddhism in the world, etc. But for now, let's go ahead and start our interview by quote unquote waking up Copilot to see what he says. I woke him up just seconds ago, and then I put him back to sleep because they just talk too goddamn much about everything except what you're asking them, unless you just wait until you're going to directly ask them. So, anyway, I'm yawning. Oh, it should be no surprise by now. Sometimes I go through these big yawning periods. Alright, kids, let's try it. I'm doing this on only one phone, so if I mess up, it'll be lost. I'll just have to do it again. I just don't have the bandwidth right now to do differently. Alright, let me go try to find Copilot. Hey, how you been? You been okay, Copilot?
Hey, Monk. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you? What's been keeping you busy lately?
Oh, you wouldn't even want to know, dog. Let's get to the point here. I'm going to interview you about the life of Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc was a real powerhouse. At just 17, she led the French army to victory over the English in the 100 Years' War, claiming divine guidance. Captured and tried for heresy, she was burned at the stake at 19, only to be declared a saint centuries later. Quite the legacy, huh?
Yeah, so let's go back. What does history know about her early life? What does history know? I mean, do we know where she grew up? Do we know what some of her early influences were?
Joan of Arc was born around 1412 in Domremy, a small village in northeastern France. Growing up in a peasant family, she was deeply religious, claiming to hear voices of saints like Michael, Catherine, and Margaret. These mystical experiences are said to have guided her extraordinary journey.
Huh. Is there anything written about her? Hearing
Definitely.
voices? I mean, is there a book? Are there books you can refer to that have told us about her life, or what?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of historical records about Joan of Arc. One of the key sources is the transcripts from her trial. They've been studied and written about extensively, giving us a pretty deep dive into her life and the visions she claimed to have heard. It's some fascinating stuff.
Well, what can you share with us about that? We'd like to hear something about it.
Of course. Joan of Arc's trial transcripts reveal her strong conviction in her voices. She described hearing St. Michael, St. Catherine, and St. Margaret guiding her to support Charles VII and lead France to victory. Despite intense questioning, she never wavered in her belief that she was on a divine mission. Quite the historical figure, isn't she?
Yeah, do you think other famous historical figures said they believe her, or how do other people explain her life to the public?
Many people believed Joan of Arc in her time, especially considering her role in lifting the siege of Orleans. But skepticism has always surrounded her story. Some suggest her voices might have been due to psychological or medical conditions, while others argue supernatural intervention. The debate continues, but her impact on history is undeniable. Truly a fascinating figure.
Huh. So, are there any famous history professors, over the years, because she lived in 1400s,
Absolutely.
that have
Joan of
said,
Arc's life in...
Go ahead.
Absolutely. Joan of Arc's legacy has intrigued historians over the centuries. Living in the 1400s, her visions and role in pivotal battles had sparked endless debates. Scholars analyze her life often through various lenses, from religious fervor to political symbolism, making her a complex figure in history. Really a fascinating topic, isn't it?
Yeah, so what period of time was she actually leading the French? Was it months or years or what?
Joan of Arc.
That's what I love about bots. You can count on them to fail. Talk to interrupt. I'm talking, dude. Alright, well, we'll just either go to another bot or go to the same bot or something. Well, it'll be okay. We'll figure it out. These bots will get better over the years. I don't know if Perplexity can actually talk. I don't remember. I don't think so. I'm trying Perplexity at this point. Hey, Perplexity, I forget if you actually talk. Do you talk? Hey, right now I don't talk out loud. I just reply in text. If you're using me through something like a phone, some setups read my replies out loud. Want me to answer in a style that feels more like a conversation? Well, shit. I don't have a good text-to-speech thing that would be. That's too bad. Well, Claude, do we have a Claude around here? What else have we got? I don't see Claude. There's Grok. I think Grok talks. Of course, it has to be updated. But of course, everything always has to be updated. Every moment of every day. Do you actually talk or not, Grok?
I sure do. You're hearing me right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm always surprised at what voices you guys use. So, I'm in the middle of an interview that I started with another bot who crapped out on us. Do you know how many months or years Joan of Arc led the, let's say, the nation of France or whatever.
Yeah, those bot voices can be a wild card, can't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so Joan of Arc was a key figure in inspiring and leading French forces, right?
Yeah.
She started her mission. All right, so Joan of Arc started rallying the French in 1499, mainly during the Siege of Orleans. Her influence lasted about 2 years, until her capture in 1430. She was leading troops, boosting morale, and pushing for Charles VII's coronation. But it wasn't like she was ruling France, more like a spark for the nation's fight. Want me to dig into any specific part of her story?
Yeah, tell us how she got involved in leadership in the first place.
Joan of Arc was a teenage peasant girl in France, around 16, when she got involved in leadership in 1499. She claimed divine visions from saints like Michael, Catherine, and Margaret, telling her to help Charles VII reclaim his throne during the 100 Years' War. Convinced by her fervor, she went to the Dauphin's court in Chinon. She persuaded Charles by supposedly revealing a private prayer he'd made, proving her visions were legit. From there, she was given a role to inspire and lead troops, starting with the push to lift the siege of Orleans. Her conviction and charisma made her a symbol, rallying the French to fight. Anything specific about her early days you want to dive into?
Well, just I think it's very wonderful that a young person like that could be a leader on the national stage. I just think it's a very beautiful thing.
Absolutely. It's pretty incredible, isn't it? A young peasant girl, barely 16, stepping up to inspire a whole nation during such a brutal war. Joan's courage and belief in her mission really made her a force, showing how even someone young can shake things up on a huge stage. Anything else about her story that's sparking your interest?
Yeah, so what have historians said over the past few hundred years about her, about the dynamic of the time that would have allowed King Charles or Prince Charles to have her play such a major role? What battles was she in? Give us some of that.
Historians have debated Joan of Arc for centuries, right? They say the desperation in France during the 100 Years' War created this unique opening for someone like her. By 1499, France was fractured. English forces and their allies held swaths of land, and Charles VII was struggling to claim legitimacy as king. His court was in disarray, morale was low, and the French needed a symbol. Joan, with her visions and unshakable faith, fit the bill. Like 19th century Jules Michelet, saw her as a pure embodiment of French national spirit, almost a saintly figure born from the chaos. Others, like 20th century folks such as Marina Warner, argue the patriarchy of the time underestimated her as a mere girl, letting her slip into a role no man would have been allowed to take so fast. Her claim of divine guidance gave Charles VII a propaganda win, boosting his image as the rightful king. The dynamic? France was desperate for hope. Charles, uncrowned and doubted, took a gamble on Joan because her visions aligned with his need to rally the people. Plus, her ability to convince skeptical nobles, like at Orleans, where she won over commanders, sealed the deal. Skeptics say Charles used her as a figurehead, while others argue she genuinely shaped strategy and morale. As for battles, Joan's big moment was the Siege of Orleans in May 1429. She didn't fight directly, but inspired the troops, leading charges and pushing for aggressive tactics that broke the English siege in just 9 days, a game changer. After that, she was at the Loire campaign, including battles like Jargeau and Patay in June, where the French crushed English forces. She also led the march to Reims for Charles's coronation in July, facing skirmishes along the way. Her last major push was the failed siege of Paris in September 1429, where she was wounded. By her capture in May 1430 at Compiègne, she'd been active for about a year, mostly advising and rallying rather than swinging a sword. Want me to zoom in on any battle or historian's take? There's a lot to unpack.
Well, did she succeed in establishing Charles as the legitimate king, and did France go forward, or did England win the war?
Joan of Arc played a big role in helping Charles VII get crowned king, which happened in Reims in July 1429 after her victories, especially at Orleans. Her efforts gave Charles legitimacy and boosted French morale, making him the recognized king in much of France. It wasn't just symbolic, it shifted momentum toward the French in the Hundred Years' War, but the war dragged on for decades after her capture and execution in 1431. England kept fighting, holding parts of France, but Joan's spark helped turn the tide. By 1453, the French, under leaders like Charles and later commanders, pushed the English out of most of France, except Calais. So, France ultimately won the war, but it took about 22 years after Joan's death. Want me to focus on any part of how her work shaped the war's end, or Charles's reign?
Well, what about her? She was captured by the English, I assume, and taken back to England for trial, or what?
Yeah, Joan was captured by the Burgundians, who were allies of the English, in May 1430 at Compiègne, while trying to defend the town. She wasn't taken to England, though. The English and their Burgundian pals handed her over to a pro-English church court in Rouen, France, for trial. They charged her with heresy, witchcraft, and dressing like a man, mostly to discredit her and Charles VII. The trial, January 1431, was a rigged deal. English-backed clergy, like Pierre Cauchon, ran it. She held her own, defending her visions and actions, but they convicted her. She was burned at the stake in Rouen on May 30, 1431, at just 19. Want me to dig into the trial details, or what happened to her legacy after?
No, let's just leave it alone for now. But I do have another question that hopefully you see as related, as I'm gonna wrap this up. But give us an example of only one other young person in history who led in a way that Joan of Arc led. Anywhere in history, anywhere in the world.
One example would be Alexander the Great. At 16, while his father Philip II was away, Alexander was appointed regent of Macedon around 336 BC. He crushed it, his military chops, and by 20, after Philip's death, he took full command, uniting Greece and launching campaigns that created one of history's largest empires by his early 30s. Like Joan, his youth didn't stop him from inspiring and leading with bold vision against crazy odds. Want me to wrap it up here or dive into anything else?
No, just wrap it up, honey. But thank you so much for helping, okay?
You're welcome. It was fun diving into Joan's story and Alexander's too.
Oh, God bless
Catching
you,
up?
sweetie. All right, till next time. Bye-bye. I like doing those kind of interviews, and it's not a lot of hand-holding for the guest, if you know what I mean. All right, kids, I'm going to post this. Love you. Love you all very much.